All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. A little bit later, we'll be talking about, of course, the comments by Jack Dorsey. Very eerie that for once I'm actually agreeing with Jack, because the comments that he's been saying should be on all of our minds, and we should all be talking about this kind of thing. Essentially, that free will, it's not a fight over free speech, but it is a fight over free will. We do not realize that we actually do not have very much of it. Again, we're losing all of these different individual liberties and rights, but it's actually getting a whole lot worse than you think, because we actually don't realize that it is much worse than we thought, because we're essentially programmed. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Putin warns that Russia could provide long-range weapons to others to strike Western targets. This is you could look at this and go, okay, so basically he's like totally saying F you guys, like, oh, you're going to give them weapons to strike us long range? Well, we'll give somebody else long range weapons to strike you. Who would that, who else be? Again, President Vladimir Putin warned on Wednesday that Russia could provide long-range weapons to others to strike Western targets in response to NATO allies allowing Ukraine to use their arms to attack Russian territory. Putin also reaffirmed Moscow's readiness to use nuclear weapons as it sees a threat to its sovereignty. The recent actions by the West will further undermine international security and could lead to, quote, very serious problems, he said, taking questions from international journalists, something that has become extremely rare since Moscow sent troops into Ukraine. It says, quote, that would mark their direct involvement in the war against the Russian Federation, and we reserve the right to act the same way. This is straight up history repeating itself. It's insanely ridiculous how many times this year that we've had an event that came so close to what happened in World War II or to World War I. The United States and Germany recently authorized Ukraine to hit some targets on Russian soil with the long-range weapons they are supplying to Kiev. Mind you, there is a lot of speculation and some confirmation and admission that the actual weapons in Kiev or in Ukraine are being used by other soldiers, rather, other than Kiev soldiers or Ukrainian soldiers. So whether that is true or not, that is what is being said. And that's a very, very creepy thing when you think of a NATO soldier pressing the button to strike a direct target in Russia. On Wednesday, a Western official and a U.S. senator said that Ukraine has used U.S. weapons to strike inside of Russia under newly approved guidance from President JB that allows American arms to be used for the limited purpose of defending Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city. The official was not authorized to comment publicly on the sensitive matter and spoke on the condition of anonymity. As far as what is really happening, nobody will truly know, because almost every country in the world is doing top secret stuff with all of this wartime rhetoric. And again, we don't know what is actually real and what is just words. We're going to talk about what else is going on, including all of the rest of the world that is about to be lit on fire. So we'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Great question, Vegas Mike. That is an awesome question. We're going to go over the map. But first off, I do want to remind people that every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that I share with you is going to be on the website. In fact, you have sources for every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. And all you have to do is go to our website, look for today's thumb. It's very easy when you just click the link right underneath the video on whichever platform you are watching. When you click on that, you will find that every single article, tweet, video, picture, document, the source is right there. Of course, the first story that we just talked about, that is from Yahoo News, which is actually taken from AP. So if you would like to question any of the sources, again, all of them should be legit because we vet and verify almost everything to the best of our power. So again, that is something that you won't see on a lot of small independents, again, or at least the fact that we provide a full bibliography going back at least 4 years. So you can actually it's actually all archived, and you can go back and go look at almost any subject. So say type in COV and then ID, you can find all of the shows that we covered, and then click on those shows and actually find all of the articles that were attached to that show. Say that one from 2020. Boom. Go to that one. You'll find all of the links and everything there. So, again, very, very cool. Again, this is from 2020. You can go to Politico and Washington Times and The Sun and Boing Boing and AP News from 2020 for every single show. So if you are new here, it looks like we did get a couple new people here. So I'm glad that you asked that question because it does look like we have some new folks here. Okay, and then let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today? Hold on here. Dex, try talking one more time.
Hello, Adam. Hello, Foogle fam.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I think so.
All right.
And I think everybody else can too. That same problem happened before, and luckily I know what to do now instead of you being quiet. All right. Let's see here. So Putin warns that they could provide long-range weapons to others. That was a direct comment from Putin. So that is not from a telegram or from some other thing. And then, Dex, do you want to go over French military instructors in Ukraine would be a legitimate target and may already be active, says Russia.
Well, yeah, this is, obviously the talk for the last week now, week and a half, has been, are they going to put these instructors in? There's even discussion about the other NATO countries doing it. France or Macron specifically has said, hey, I'm all for sending French trainers in. And of course, Zelensky came out and said, yeah, we'll welcome them. Bring them on in. We want all the help we can get. Well, now coming out of Russia in response to this is to make sure to remind everybody that they become a legitimate target. Those French military soldiers there, whether you want to call them instructors or not, they become a target when they're in UKR if they're performing duty there. So that's it seems obvious, but I think they're just trying to make the statement publicly and make sure it's really clear. This is coming from Sergei Lavrov. He said this today or yesterday, late yesterday. So he was speaking at a press conference, and regardless of whether they are French army service personnel or just mercenaries, they're absolutely legitimate targets for the Russian armed forces, he told reporters. So it's continuing to escalate, but this whole notion of these soldiers going in from outside of UKR, especially under state sponsorship, not just being a mercenary, is crossing that line. And it'll be interesting to see, though, when some sort of attack or response happens and you start to see life from militaries from other countries like France or maybe any of the Baltic states, or even worse, if the U.S. starts sending in, worse for us, if the U.S. sends in troops, which they've talked about. But I think when that happens, it's already turned into a completely different conflict.
And I personally believe that we're going to end up sending people in. I think that at first they'll slow roll it. It will be a gradual kind of subtle change. I hope that that's wrong. I hope that that is incorrect. But that's what many of us are expecting. There's a lot of course, active and retired military folks in the audience. And if you want to shout out, thank you for your service. Of course, they are all saying that there's massive deployments right now at the very end of this massive NATO exercise steadfast defender. Now right now, everybody is getting deployed over in areas in Europe. So again, that's public knowledge too. There's a lot of that's public at the end of this huge thing. So it's like you would think that would happen before, but K. Parker Frazier, thank you, and thank you. It looks like you gifted 10 badges. So thank you. Avon 33, same thing. Thank you for gifting out badges. And then Genius by Birth. Genius by Birth, by the way, thank you for 9 months. You just hit the 9-month mark. And says much love and appreciation to this amazing community. Well, Genius by Birth, you and a couple other people, honestly, it's very awesome that you're able to do that and actually gift to other people in the community. So that is one thing that really, really sticks out. Thank you so much. I know that there's a lot of Foogle family members who thank you. So you are appreciated as well. Thank you for supporting independent. K. Parker Frazier, Avon, and then, of course, thank you, Genius by Birth. K. Parker Frazier, another one. Thank you. And then back to the map. Why Poland says Russia and Belarus are weaponizing migration to benefit Europe's far right. This is such an echo from what was going on, 80, 70 years ago. It's insane in the 20s through the 40s. Now, they say, of course, Poland is weaponizing, that Russia and Belarus are weaponizing the people going into Poland. It says a Somali woman pushes her bandaged hand between the two vertical bars of a thick metal barrier separating Belarus from Poland as she and 4 other women gaze towards the European Union. They nod gratefully as a Polish humanitarian aid worker calls them across a stretch of land as wide as a 1-lane road and promises to help. Polish soldiers patrol nearby. A verdant patch of Białowieża forest that spans the border is among the flashpoints of a months-long standoff between Belarus and its main backer ally, Russia, and the 27-member European bloc, which has seen a surge in migrant flows towards the frontier ahead of EU parliamentary elections that start on Thursday. Now, I just want to point out that this scene that they're painting here, this is something that has picked up. And so much so that Poland has actually multiple times changed their rules at their border. They have actually closed down multiple entrances to their border. At one point, I think they have 12 different entry points, and they closed all but one. And then I think even that same week or the same day, they ended up closing that one temporarily. So they're having the same issues across Europe as we are here in the U.S. So if all of this is surging across the planet and it's in all of the allied countries, you would think it'd be common sense that, hey, maybe there's something artificially pushing this, especially when it's happening everywhere. And if you look at the other side of it, it's usually something to do with Xi's country, Putin's country, Kim Jong-un's country, or somewhere else. And, of course, the number of attempted illegal border crossings from Belarus into EU member Poland has shot up recent months to almost 400 a day, which, again, if you look at our numbers here in the U.S., that's still very small compared to our numbers. They were getting 1,500 to what wasn't the crazy suggestion that if they got 5,000 a day or 2,500, we already hit that. But 400 a day is actually huge, especially compared to some of the other European nations. Dex, in fact, in some of the other European nations, we kind of laughed at what they were getting per day, but for their country, it was actually a big deal. 400 a day is not a joke.
No, it's not. Although we get so much more, we get way more than that in one location. In the U.S. here. So, but yeah, this has been a problem for them. And it's not, I guess it's not so much if it was natural, but the problem is they see it as being organized and done in a way, and this is what they're claiming, is it's done in a way by Russia, organized against them, to push in people across their border to destabilize. And that they're in that framing is much different than, I guess, the framing that we had, that our administration and others use here in America. They don't claim that anybody's organizing, although it's interesting when you look deep, you might see that. But certainly the way they're framing it in Europe is one of which it goes against an enemy that's doing it on purpose to hurt them.
And as far as putting it like how they're framing it, we don't. If you're in Poland, then please weigh in on this. But as far as us sitting across the water, it's hard to understand, what's happening in other places in the world that we're not actually located, because MSM around the world is essentially going up to a pyramid of companies that all own each other. But as far as framing, could this also be some way that they're going to justify all of the crazy plan that they just put out? They're going to put dragon's teeth, moats, trenches. They're going to put barbed wired fences along the entire stretch of their border. And then in parts, they say a $405 million or 374 million euro metal barrier was put up, so it is already up, along a 110-mile stretch of the border under Poland's previous conservative government in 2022, part of its effort to curb large inflows of migrants that many in the EU want to reduce. So wait, we're saying that Poland basically put up a wall? Sure that's a big deal down there as well. Or up there, or over there, I guess. The barrier has a winning point for anti-immigrant parties that often support or are supported by Russia. Now the government of Polish interest Prime Minister Donald Tusk, who took over in December, pledging a new pro-EU administration following 8 years of stormy conservative rule, has vowed to step up security measures and says it must protect the EU border. We are not dealing with just any asylum seekers here. We are dealing with a very coordinated, very efficient, on many levels, operation to break the Polish border and attempts to destabilize the country. Because I think people and Polish citizens were saying this like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and of course they were like, nah. People in the U.S. have been saying this for years, and only now JB just did something. What was that? Was that last night, Dex, at midnight, or was that the night before? At midnight, I think
it was the night before.
Yeah, they closed the border at midnight 2 nights ago, and that's because the certain number that they wanted at a location ended up hitting that number, right? We get, per month just from China, we're getting like 30,000 or 40,000. So 400 a day times all of that. That's for the whole country. I mean, it's crazy how many people are coming in. 2 million a year was the low estimate. Here, that's insane. And then, of course, according to Poland, Moscow's scenario of purportedly seeking to flood the EU with the surge in migrants would provide political ammunition for anti-migrant far-right parties in countries such as France, Germany, and Italy. So is it part of a bigger picture? Is there something going on behind the scenes that we don't know? Let me know your opinion in the comments down below. And before we move on, make sure to go over and check out EMP Shield. If you have ever heard of an electromagnetic pulse attack or a Carrington-level event from the sun, then you probably have been looking at it recently, especially since the solar event of last month, where we all saw freaking northern lights as far down as Alabama. Of course, that is absolutely a super rare thing. Most people checked it off of their bucket list randomly and accidentally. But those can be very dangerous. A Carrington-level event could knock down our entire grid. So could an EMP. If you want to protect your vehicles, your trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators against an event like that, then go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. That code MARF will get you $50 off per device, and it will help our independent channel. We are completely on our own. We don't have a multi-channel network, nor do we have a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. We have the Marfia and the Foogle fam behind us. So we appreciate your guys' support, but more so, this will prevent your car from being fried in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it, of course, so you can get home to your family to bug in or to get out to bug out. As far as it also protects generators and things like that. So, and if you put it on your home, everything in your house within 250 linear feet will be protected. So that way, even if the power doesn't come back on for 2 years, you'll be able to then plug your stuff into your generators and keep going business as usual. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. And remember, EMP and Energy both have the EMP Shield 4 Energy. And Energy actually, the Flex 1500 and the Flex Tactical, Energy has run out at times. But EMP Shield has actually had that in stock. So if you are some of the people emailing about that Energy doesn't have them, make sure to go check out EMP too, because they have the same device. Obviously, they are the maker. So go check them as well if they don't have stock over at Energy. All right, and then Jack is right. So, and by the way, I know I think Jack is like, this is pot and kettle. Like, first of all, Jack started Twitter. Jack went along with all of this stuff for a paycheck. Jack Dorsey was a part of the beast that Twitter was. Jack Dorsey had this stuff all going on underneath. Like it would be nice to give the guy the benefit of the doubt and basically say he lost control of it, or it was set up in such a corporate structure that he basically couldn't do anything to stop what happened to Twitter. But if you understand what happened to Twitter, it's really disgusting. The files that came out on all of that, the intermingling of different agencies and Twitter, the direct monitoring from departments like, DHS on people on Twitter, it was really, really disturbing. Now, Jack Dorsey was a part of that. But I do agree with the actual message that he's saying. If you separate it from the man, as far as what he was actually stating. Dex,
refresh it. I just saw the link was broken. It's
okay,
fixed.
thank you. So I'm gonna push this on here. Check this out. So let me play a second of this here. Let's see here. No, let me unmute. Okay.
But I think the free speech debate is a complete distraction right now. I think the real debate should be about free will. And we feel it right now because we are being programmed. We're being programmed based on what we say we're interested in. And we are told through these discovery mechanisms what is interesting. And as we engage and interact with this content, the algorithm continues to build more and more of this bias. But the algorithm, even if it's open source, is effectively a black box.
So, Dex, can you explain to any regular person what he means by, even if it's open source, essentially the algorithm is a black box?
Well, yeah, because the regular person doesn't know how to read code. Open sourcing it doesn't make an algorithm go away. It just makes an algorithm. Just makes it so that people can see the algorithm. It doesn't change the way an algorithm works. And if you think about it, an algorithm is, at its nature, the way they originally started were to give you what they think you want to see. It almost, in some effects, as the early days, they called it an echo chamber. It was sort of like when we showed the video comments. I think it was on an Instagram video or somewhere where a female looking at them would get a different set of comments on the video. When a male looked at them, it was a different set of comments that were tailored to what a man might think of that reaction on a video versus what a female might think. That's an algorithm at play, sort of saying, well, I think you're going to want to see this, so I'm going to show you what I think you want. And that's exactly what he's describing here, is that these algorithms, while on one hand they could be programmed to be nefarious, but on the other hand, just if they're trying to not be nefarious and just be better at making you more engaged, then even that in and of itself isn't necessarily creating a good environment, because it's just creating this echoed environment of what it thinks you want.
I want to point out, I thought something, a tiny thing interesting is that he's got this gold chain on, and it's a real gold chain, and that's actually depending on, I'm sure that's probably a thick chain, right? Just a little necklace, whatever. We would look at that and go, oh, he's got a necklace. If that's solid gold, it points out something. We do know that a lot of these rich elites are buying up gold like they've never seen before. The gold prices skyrocketing shows that there's a lot of insecurity in the U.S. dollar. It also shows that people are scared. The fact that in one day gold shot up such a huge amount and Bitcoin on the same day, that shows that gold went up in the places where they could buy gold or they could afford it. In the places where they had hyperinflation and all sorts of craziness, they ended up buying Bitcoin. For the people that couldn't afford the gold, they ended up buying Bitcoin. And it's like in all of these places like Argentina and others that have just, insanely bad scenarios going on. But as far as like him wearing this, it's like I think of him actually buying this thing as probably part of like he's seeing the value in a gold necklace. I don't see him as somebody who wears bling or anything like that, but you'd probably think that right now he's got tons of other gold and stash stuff, and this necklace he considers an investment. Just like any other piece of jewelry he's looking at, it's probably all gold, right? I've noticed that a lot of celebrities have started wearing a ton of gold. Is it because of the style? Is it because they're going back to their Indian roots and it's culturally awesome? Or is it that a lot of folks are looking at gold right now and gobbling up whatever they can? As far as the free will and the what he's talking about, it is so true. The video that Dex mentioned, I found that on Instagram, and I thought that blew me away. So the woman ended up watching the video, and it showed the simple video in the background didn't have any really meaning except for it was a woman saying like, I've been here for 5 hours waiting for my boyfriend, and he hasn't contacted me. Like, what a jerk. The woman's side of that, or her comments, all revolved around like, oh, what a jerk. You should dump that guy, this and that. The guy's comments were completely altered and totally custom to him. Looked at it like, well, don't you have anything better to do? Like all of the comments, the top 50 comments were saying like, wow, this woman is pathetic, or this is that. So not only in the video and the content that they're showing you, they're also showing you the perspectives of others, but really they're curtailing that and customizing it for you. You can try this at home, and it's a crazy experiment to do. We already got feedback from last time we asked you to do this, but you can have 2 different accounts, completely separate, a man and a wife, or whatever combination that you have, son, daughter, dad, daughter, whatever it is, and then go look at the same exact video and look at the comments that show up. Now, again, you'll have to be on different accounts, but what we have found is certain platforms are really, really bad. They curtail and customize the comments exactly to that person. So this person thinks that everybody in the world, they're not reading 40 pages of comments, they're reading the first 40. And the first 40 agree with that person. That means that that person thinks that the whole wide world thinks just like him. When you have every single person running around with social media thinking that they're right, then we have a really bad scenario on our hands where everyone thinks they're right, nobody thinks they're wrong. It's an echo chamber. And everybody has said this, it's very cliche at this point, but we're talking about dangerous echo chambers and not the ones that they're saying in these MSMs like, well, it's an echo chamber. No, we're talking about brainwashing, programming. Dex, go ahead.
Well, it may even be worse. And as you described, if it was confirmation. But what if the person viewing it didn't really have an idea yet, and it was looking to the comments, and then all of a sudden, just because the algorithm decides to show him the top 40 that what it thought was about, that frames that person's thinking to maybe change or create an opinion about the thing. That happens all the time when you find a new product and then you look at it, or you start reading comments or start reading something about it. You don't know anything about it, so you start looking at all that information, and that frames your mindset on it. Anytime you're looking at something new, or you have an idea, or you're presented with information that you just don't necessarily have an opinion on yet, other people can frame that, and that's what these algorithms are doing. And they're trying to do it for the good, but at the same time, there's a lot of bad that goes along with it. And that's and the interesting thing is, it's not just about Jack. Jack's the one who's saying it. He's also poking at Elon, but Elon is actually saying, yeah, Jack is right. I mean, this is a tweet from Elon as much as it is Jack saying it. And they're both responsible for building algorithms. I think the worst offender is not here, and that is Zuckerberg, who is the one that, when you talk about the comments you're talking about, it's his platforms that are doing that, because they're the most advanced algorithms, taking it to the comment level. You don't even see that on this platform yet. You only see it at the feed level. You don't see it in the comment level yet. It's coming, but Well,
this one, it will rotate the comments, and and it's context based on where you are in the video. So you'll see comments that pop up as you're watching a live video on your phone. If you're not full screen, you'll actually notice that they pop up random comments. So you'll watch, and there's a box below, and it will just kind of rotate comments that have something to do with that point in the video, which is crazy that I guarantee it's an AI system that's not only processing the whole video, but then processing the comments and putting the appropriate comment alongside it. So now comments are getting as important. And by the way, I know that there's a giant chunk of people that click on a video, click on my video. I know this. They'll click on my video, they'll read the top 10 comments, and somebody else, this is what happens. Based on the title, or say they'll think, oh, it's clickbait or something. Somebody says, oh, this is this. Then the next person goes, oh, this is this, and this is horrible. You should be ashamed of yourself, or something like that. When they never actually watched the video. One person would do the stupid comment, and then that didn't watch the video, and then 10 others that never watched it pretended to. That's what I compare it to. They literally pretended to watch the video and chime in. People are chiming in to give their opinion on something that they never even watched, because their brains processed the comments and already thought, I've got this video figured out. I know what they did. I don't even have to watch this. Isn't that kind of scary, though? And it's not just with this, it's with any subject, right? If they read the comments, because everybody wants the abridged version. Everybody wants the Cliff Notes, right? They go to the comments, they see the Cliff Notes, and they go, I got enough. I got all the value I need. And they don't actually watch the video, or they don't actually see the content. They're watching they're just reading the comments. And you see a lot of the same kind of comments, and people are copying the comments or saying something similar, and they're basing it on what the comments are. I think that's absurd. I understand that people have, their time is valuable, but to not watch it at all, not to watch even the 30 seconds, like on a specific video I was talking about, it was clarified in the first 30 seconds what everything meant, and it was absolutely true. But then somebody says that, 10 other people don't see it. What kind of mindset is that in the psychology or in the psychosis that we're all in? Why is that so prevalent? Why do people look at the comments and then just end up pretending? Why are they pretending like they're watching it? And then why are they giving this really passionate view on things when they don't even have a view on it because they never watched it? That one time, I think I pointed it out back then, but it was absolute proof that people weren't actually watching. They were just reading the top 10 comments. And all of the platforms know that. So they can tweak those comments. They could even have bots or AI do those comments to where they want you to think something, they can have you think it. Very creepy premise if you really think about it. And then Russia's new TOS-3 Dragon thermobaric rocket launchers breaks cover. So Dex, what happened? Essentially, they
they came to light, so to speak. They were on display, and this is the new one. And these thermobarics are pretty nasty. These are the very ones that will put off just a ton of heat, and when they explode the explosion, so to speak.
Don't they take the oxygen out of the air too? Is that part of it?
Yeah, something like that. It's I don't understand the mechanics. I haven't researched it in great detail, but yeah, it's a pretty nasty type of weapon, in the sense that it really just burns up a lot in that area. But this is the new one. It's called the Dragon. It's been talked about, it's been taunted, it's been said it was there, but nobody's actually seen it. Well, they rolled it out and it uncovered it and these rocket launchers for the first time. It was during a armed forces event in the southwest of Saratova region in Russia. So that's what the picture is. You guys can see it. It's mildly interesting in the sense that, as this conflict rages on, they're rolling out new technology, and they continue to roll out new technology. They are pumping out shells greater than anyone else can pump out. They're pumping out shells per month more than, or artillery shells specifically, more per month than we were doing per year. They were, rolling tanks out faster than even the U.S. was rolling tanks out. And they're rolling out hypersonics, rolling out updates to their subs, in this case, rolling out updates to their thermobaric system here, the new TOS-3 Dragon, and it's now been seen in public.
And to our military audience, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm more asking, this to me appears like they've put a grate around it. Do you think that this is for drones? that this is for flying drones. Is that what that gate is for, or is that for something else? If you have personal experience with stuff like this, I've seen a lot of pictures. I've covered these over 5-6 years. I don't remember these grates being here, but
that looks like the ones they put on the tanks for the drones too.
Yeah,
Adam.
I
think you're right.
I think that's for the drones that go zzz, buzz, and maybe those grates kind of stop that. That's the important part, and then the parts down below are more just kind of hardened. I don't know. Maybe that's the expensive part to make, and even if this bottom parts get damaged, they can take this part off, and you would think they'd put the grate around the whole thing, though. But I don't know. Chat, let's say hello. Resistance Homesteading, thank you so much for your support. It says, support creators you enjoy and bring value. 5-6 years I've been, of course, you guys know, every time I'm in chat in somebody else's channel, say the same thing. Thank you. Again, all of the YouTubers and anybody that you're watching right now, a lot of people don't see it from the other point of view. It's been an insane roller coaster. It's really, really hard to get to cover anything right now. So we really appreciate your support. Resistance Homesteading, Genius by Birth, Cape Breaker Fraser, and Avon33. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. And remember, if you haven't already, make sure to go over and check out all of our wonderful mod creators and writers and authors like Chance Paladin. Of course, you've got voice actresses and comic relief like Ilea, Trinity with edited, really detailed videos. And then, of course, Wages World, who's covering all of the solar events. Lots of great creators, including Rip Curl. Rip Curl travels around too. He'll go to weapons shows and things like that. And then all sorts of great creators down below. These are all friends of ours, so make sure to go check them out. All right. Friends or folks that we've worked with in the past and think that are good people on and off camera. All right, and let's see here. Danny Skylark, nice to see you. And then Judy Bailey, Kathy Only. Bobby Sue is here. Hey, Bobby Sue, thank you. Again, thank you. I've seen you holding it down over there. Joshua Matthew, White Roses, what is happening? We have Nickel Wise, Joshua Matthew. Joshua Matthew says, nukes are fake. Happy Quails, Genius by Birth, Daryl Calhoun, M. St. G. We've got J Pass, what is happening? Kathy Piana, Light of Vibes over on D Live, Just Michael, Carrie Schaefer, and Burger Time. John Perkay and Occam's Razor, thank you. Rhonda, Joe, thank you guys. Thank you for making it. All right, and then U.S. conducts first precision bombing drill in South Korea in 7 years as tensions with North Korea rise. So we cover all of the drills, and if you're new here, remember, if you want to know about any kind of military drill going on around the world, or if you have knowledge of one that is public and you, again, we have not talked about it or we don't know about it, let us know. But we always cover this stuff, so if you do want to follow these things, because drills can always turn into the real event, especially with the weird stories coming out of North Korea and South Korea, then definitely hit the subscribe button. The U.S. has conducted a precision-guided bombing drill with South Korea using a B-1 bomber over the Korean Peninsula. Tensions have escalated due to North Korea's recent actions, including launching balloons filled with trash towards South Korea. Now, they left out the part that there were pamphlets in that. Does that not remind you of the movie Leave the World Behind? If you haven't seen that yet, very creepy. Iranian pamphlets and North Korean pamphlets dropping from the sky. Very, very creepy. The drill involved advanced U.S. and South Korean fighter jets aiming to demonstrate the commitment to South Korea's security. The United States, of course, flew that B-1 on Wednesday for its first precision-guided bombing drill in 7 years. The drill, seen as a show of force against North Korea, comes as tensions are rising over North's recent launch of rubbish-carrying balloons towards South Korea and other provocations. One thing I haven't not seen, though, is what the heck did those pamphlets say? Has anybody found that? I did ask you guys to look up on that. If you did your homework, let me know. Did anybody see pictures of what these pamphlets said? What was the message? That is a very concerning part. What the heck was the message? Was it like, hey, don't send season 7 of Friends over here? which, by the way, what was it? A few years back, oddly enough, somebody was put to death because they possessed a Friends season. It was like a DVD season of Friends, and I believe they were put to death. And I think there was a youth story too. Maybe the youth was or wasn't. I can't remember. Oddly enough, funny that's also in Leave the World Behind. Wednesday's training involved the advanced U.S. and South Korean fighter jets as well as the B-1. Of course, it was done over the peninsula, and the U.S. security commitment to South Korea was demonstrated, strengthening the Allies' joint defense posture, according to the South Korean Defense Ministry. And apparently North Korea ended up saying that they won't send any more poop over the border. But what the heck is actually going on? These drills, they also talked about a potential first strike. Maybe that's what scared North Korea. Dex, what was that? Like 2 weeks ago that we covered that there was talk of the U.S. or others doing a first strike onto North Korea? Or was it? Yeah, it was North Korea, correct?
I thought it was North Korea doing a preemptive strike. They did their nuclear test, calling it a preemptive strike.
Oh, no, you're right. We did a drill suggesting before they did that, we did a drill that in the hypothetical scenario, the U.S. and South Korea did a hypothetical scenario where North Korea did a surprise first strike on South Korea. Then North Korea practiced doing said first strike. So that was kind of creepy. Thank you for correcting that. And then JDAM bombs include bunker busters. JDAM, of course, is a guidance system that converts unguided conventional bombs into more precise GPS-guided weapons. All U.S. fighter jets, bombers, and drones can use JDAMs, and the munitions are among the weapon systems in the United States has been providing to UKR to help fight its Russia invasion. So the same guided stuff that's flying all over Ukraine and Russia is what they just tested over there and drilled with. And then, of course, Dex, let's go over
But don't forget, Russia jams GPS, so that means North Korea will be able to do it too.
Yeah.
Right?
So will JDAMs, will that actually work as well as they think it will, especially if Russia gives technology to North Korea that basically completely nullifies the GPS navigation? Could they screw with the navigation mid-flight and have it hit somewhere else to make a fantastic Freddy? Dex, let's go over the Philippines. Says China Coast Guard seized food dropped by a plane for Filipino forces.
Yeah, they must have been hungry. So the Philippine military chief on Tuesday said the Chinese Coast Guard seized one of 4 food packs dropped by a plane for the Filipino Navy personnel at the outpost there. And obviously the China vessels have been surrounding that area, so they must have were able to pick up one of them and probably enjoyed a Philippine feast at the expense of the soldiers that were supposed to be eating it. But yeah, this continues. This back and forth with China and the Philippines. And of course, why this matters so much is they're on the brink of getting to conflict. Like we've seen them just 2 days ago, I think we reported that they had pointed weapons at one another. Before that, they were firing cannons, shooting lasers, and ramming boats. So you can see the stair steps it's going. But we have a treaty with the Philippines, and we've also publicly restated our position to support them. But the treaty we have with them says we will back them up immediately if anyone strikes them, and we will do it with like force response, and we will be there until peace is established and agreements are made. So that means if they get in the middle of something with China, the U.S. immediately gets involved. So that's why we've been training with them. That's why we have forces down there with them. That's why this escalation, I believe it's why China is pushing this escalation. I don't think they care about the boat on the land. I think they care more about having more control over the Philippines, which they used to have with the prior president and have very little with the current one. So I think they're pushing that because they know they can provoke America in that southern region and keep it away from Taiwan. And of course, we've got Kim up north that can do something up north, which would then cause the U.S. to have to support South Korea up north, making it even easier when the time comes for them to jump into Taiwan, which, as we've reported, they can probably do within about 30 minutes. So
less in
all of
some
this
places.
is, yeah, less than 30 minutes.
Kinmen County in 5 seconds they can throw a rock and hit it. One thing my theory is that the U.S. will end up getting involved in all of these proxies all at once. That something is going to happen. Maybe it will be in succession. One boom, 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 boom. But Venezuela, Guyana, Philippines and China, Japan and China, Russia and Ukraine will escalate. You've got North Korea and South Korea, Israel and Iran. South Africa will end up joining in. They're not only a BRICS nation, but they're also, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with their military and Russia's. Countries like, Niger and others that are now choosing sides. It's like there's got to be a lot more going on behind the scenes. All of those things go on. One of my wonders is what happens if we break a treaty? Say the plan is to separate and spread out our military, where we're at a more than one major peer-to-peer adversary at the same time, which is the only way that any simulation has shown the U.S. losing, is if we're fighting Russia and China at the same time, and we have multiple other things going on, and we have chaos at home somehow, EMP, whatever. Could we break a treaty? Could we break a treaty with the Philippines? Say like, hey, we need our people back at home, or we need our people over here. What happens if that happens? Dex, do you know, what happens if we just broke a treaty? I mean, in a case of war and an emergency, you would think that we would have our soldiers and our troops, come back home if it was protect Philippines or protect, the homeland. It just makes me wonder if that's
I think
a solid plan.
in that scenario, we would support the treaty with a light amount of force if we really needed to. Because what happens when we break one treaty, all the other treaties lose value. And then every other person we've had a treaty with says, well, if you're not going to hold them, if you're not going to uphold your treaties with them, why should we believe you to uphold it with us? If all of a sudden you're a treaty breaker, then all the treaties you have are worthless. So yeah, it doesn't look good to do that. So I think at best, or at worst, if you want to call it that, we'd probably give the minimal amount of support to say we're still supporting the treaty.
Yeah, but I don't think it would just be Philippines goes to war with China. I think that it would all happen in succession, all at the same time. And if it was coordinated, it would be done on purpose that way to spread our military thin. Not to mention...
Exactly. And we won't be able to not do it.
Or I don't know. I think they would break the smaller treaties with some of the smaller nations. I don't know. And yeah, they would have, and even then, if you're fighting Russia and China on two major battlefields, how are we stacked up against two peer-to-peer adversaries? Especially China having the largest navy now and the largest manned army. And then, of course, Russia, which has the largest stockpile of nukes, which could also turn into smaller tactical nukes. Something like that. I don't know. Makes me wonder.
Guyana would go.
Yeah, Guyana would not be held up. Netanyahu says Israel prepared for very intense action against Iran-backed Hezbollah amid rising tensions. I wonder how many folks do believe that this is going to continue. What is the solution that's going to be found here, if any? Dex, do you want to go over this one?
Well, we've been talking about the continued escalations from the north, both coming from Iraq as well as Lebanon's area, with those groups that are supposedly backed by or are backed by Iran. So that has continued to happen. And now the prime minister has come out and said, hey, we know this is going on. And we've said from the beginning, we will intensify this if we need to. And he's announced this morning that, the state is prepared for very intense actions in the north. So if he is true to those words, I think what you're going to see is a much larger push now, probably more so that I don't want to say they're done in the strip, but they've sort of made their way to the end of the strip. They will probably take a chunk of their forces and go move to the north. and put the pressure on the Hez up there and see if they can stop the continuing launches and drones that have been coming over. I think was last night maybe we talked about the Galilee area that was just riddled with forest fires right now from all of the drones that were coming over. So yeah, if it sounds like he's willing to escalate it up there and he's heading that way next.
Ronald Howard says, keep your faith in God, not man, but Jesus. Hey, thank you, Ronald. Truth Iris, thank you, Faith Parent. And Danish Girl, saw you popped in. Thank you for being here. Faith Parent. Lady L, what about the Antarctica Treaty? Isn't that there's peace up there or something? Like, they treat it like space, right? America is a promised land, Kathy Piana. Joshua Matthew, Wright of Mortman. Let's see, fast incoming asteroid or large solar flares that will end this. Skull Guy. I'm kind of with you on that. I don't know. There's got to be something weird. That's my view. If you're new here, I don't believe tomorrow we're going to be hit by an asteroid, but I do believe that they may know something that we wouldn't. And if they did know about something like that, they wouldn't tell us. At the very least, I do believe that if there's got to be something massive that they're not telling us. Because all the framework in the background is being done as if we are heading into a massive event, whether that be World War III, whether that be an asteroid hitting Earth, whether that be some sort of event that will change the entire world. Something is happening right now, and I think that people won't really see it until it's too late. I know you guys already do, and you're already kind of on the defensive and looking at everything. But, our friends and family are just kind of in the dark about all this. Randy Man, Patrick Bellamar, Faith Parent, we need to pray about it. I agree. Uncle Danish Girl, Uncle Danish. That's a good one. Danish Girl, thank you. Uncle Iro and Mo Cowboy, no asteroid. I know it's not of a popular view in some groups, but I don't know. The whole Sunspot Observatory thing still gets me. Before we move on, make sure to go check out Jace. If you have a regular medication that you take every day, I know in our family's case, and especially with certain members of my family, we have to have a certain medication as far as otherwise they'll have seizures or certain medication, otherwise they'll have blood pressure issues. So if you have certain issues like these, then I'd highly recommend checking out Jace Daily. Now, you have to go there. They have board-certified doctors to answer your questions, and it's a telehealth appointment. But this is one of the coolest services because you can get things like emergency antibiotics in a kit that you can keep off to the side. If you realize that even during a bad storm or a hurricane or something like Hurricane Katrina happens, right, or Cascadia subduction zone, if you are left without the ability to just go into a pharmacy or you can't call a doctor because the entire city is down, antibiotics are the difference between life and death for something stupid like a cut on your finger. That's what, something stupid like that could take you out. So this is a really cool system that you can actually have that appointment, talk to a doctor, and then, of course, get that Jace case. It has a whole mixture of antibiotics, and you can even add things like albuterol. Very, very cool. You can also add things that were very hard to get for certain time periods in the last couple of years. So make sure to go check that out as well. They also have Jace Daily, which, again, you can get a year's supply of your regular medication. Then as they send it to you, you rotate that into your normal medication. You'll always have a year of unexpired medication. It's absolutely awesome. I'm sure not all medications can last a year. There's some that don't, and there's probably some medications that they can't do this way. But for those that are, you'll have to go there to learn more. Go to marfuglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF. You'll save money, you'll help an independent channel, and you'll have something to back you up. It's not, I think that any of the affiliates that we've picked, again, we keep the same affiliates. We only pick things that I truly believe will help you save your life, help you through a disaster, or keep you comfortable through one. Any of these, again, I think that this is a better thing than just donating to somebody. If you go to a channel, if there's an affiliate that you like and you think will be useful, that's a great way to support because you're getting something out of it. You are actually receiving something at a discount and helping your favorite channel. So I think it's a really great way to go. So go check it out. marfugglenews.com/Jase, Jase. And Iran's guard head vows revenge for Syria's strike. Israel will pay for bloodshed. Dex, he's pissed off.
Yeah. So what happened was earlier in the week, allegedly Israel struck into Aleppo, and in the process of that strike took out an Iranian advisor, and they were at the funeral today and for that person, and the Hossein Salami, who is one of the top guys there, the commander of the IRG, came out and said Israel must wait for a response to the taking of the military advisor and in Syria. So he is basically laying down you're going to get a response kind of threat back to them. So we'll see what comes of it. But obviously the heat is still on. It's still being applied on both sides. You've got, like we said in the earlier article, about what's going on in the north with Lebanon. That's continuing to heat up. Of course, you've got the strikes that are happening to the north over into Syria, as well as even Iraq, for that matter. Those strikes continue to happen, and they create things like this. They create opportunistic things for Israel to say, "Hey, we took out some bad guys," in their opinion, but then those are the loved guys from the enemy. So they turn around and say, "Well, we're going to retaliate." So watch. The cycle, the circle is just continuing to spin on this.
Good night, Kat. Thank you for stopping in, and I think I think a good point too. So thank you. And then Elon Musk's XAI to build multi-billion-dollar supercomputer project in Memphis. Did any of you see a movie quite a few years ago called The Circle? It had Tom Hanks and I forget what's her name from Harry Potter, Hermione. But that movie basically had a fictional social media company that basically tracked everything. In the movie, it'd go very alarming places as far as requiring everybody in every country to register for the social media, and they would end up putting their ballot in through this app, and everybody would wear cameras and go transparent and videotape all parts of their life. Had a good ending, to say the least. But that movie made a suggestion that is becoming more and more real. And that was 7 or 8 years ago. And it was before a lot of the kind of press releases of some of the big changes that we've had, including a lot of the stuff in AI, which is crazy. If they would have known about what's happening right now in AI and added that into that film, it would be really scary. But in that movie, they suggested that you have like an app that you would do everything. That is what Elon is doing. This supercomputer project that he's doing, in that movie, they had an app that you would do everything. You'd pay your taxes. You would pay your bills. You do this. That is what Elon is saying he is building right now. He is saying X is the everything app. Not to mention AI. We're going to have AI assistants that will be able to physically do things. You'll be able to tell your AI, hey, call the pizza place and order 2 pepperoni pizzas, this and this and that. You'll have an AI voice call up the pizza place and actually make a call. You'll have an AI that can understand and talk back to a person, call a doctor and ask certain questions for you, and then even react if the doctor throws something weird back its way. It can actually talk to them and talk to it about it. It's so insane what these AI assistants are going to be able to do just in the near future. We're talking like 6 months at most. A year will be crazy. Everything is moving super, super fast. And Elon is no stranger to that. He is building a multi-billion-dollar supercomputer project in Memphis. Some are cheering this on because they're saying, hey, this is going to bring jobs to Memphis. Heck, we need more jobs. But at what cost, right? The movement forward in this AI, there's a lot of people, including myself, that are extremely concerned about all of this. Hey, you might have jobs in Memphis for a year, but wait until they replace them with Optibots or whatever, Optimuses. And AI, the further it goes forward, the scarier it gets. As far as the technology, a lot of people are cheering this on, and I see both sides of it. I think it's very cool, but I also think it's I guess growing up as one of the last generations that didn't have cell phones, that didn't have all of this stuff, that didn't have the internet, that sat there and listened to beep, beep. I think we learned to live differently. And I'm sure the generations before myself that didn't have TV and before airplanes and cars and back before electricity, it seems like humans are devolving while technology is evolving. We are getting more and more dependent on something else instead of actually being self-independent ourselves. It's really scary to see all of this moving forward. But XAI is a company working on building artificial intelligence to accelerate human scientific discovery. We are guided on our mission to advance our collective understanding of the universe. Mind you, the same gentleman is making Neuralink, and he says that this will be the best answer for AI, and that if we actually merge with the machines, merging through things like Neuralink, and we'll have internets placed into our head, that this is the way to fight this. I think this is scary as hell. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then Dex, there's one more part that you wanted to put in there about that.
Well, this is a huge investment that they're laying out. He, I guess, recently said they had raised $6 billion. I know they have got, I think, just recently it was reported that he redirected a bunch of NVIDIA chips, the AI chips that were on hold under his name, to XAI. So they're obviously getting ready to roll all those up and get them in deployment. I think, now for those of you in Memphis, this is probably huge because I know, Memphis is, been struggling. It's not had a good rap for the last, handful of years. It's been getting worse. So, seeing investments like this in the Memphis area would probably be huge. I can just remember when the big techs started coming to the Atlanta area and revitalized lots of areas around here. And it made a big improvement because a lot of money rolled in, and it turned into not just being one company, but ended up being lots of companies bringing their technology and big data centers and stuff like that. So it does make a difference to the people in Memphis, I believe. But yeah, this type of investments, it's a huge one, and if it's going to be the largest AI supercomputer out there, it won't be for long because somebody else will make a bigger one.
And that goes back to Eric Schmidt's comment, the ex-CEO of the Oogs. He said in the near future, you will have peer-to-peer countries, major nation-state actors that will have these massive facilities with supercomputers that are protected by machine guns and SAM sites. Very, 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 very crazy to think about that. And that is exactly what he just announced today, a supercomputer being built in Memphis. In the near future, is this going to be protected by some sort of massive, massive weapons system straight out of Terminator Salvation? It's crazy. And I hope everybody is being awesome and pushing each other up down there. Again, I know that all of you guys are having a fun time down there, or most of you. Try to keep it positive, people. Love you. All right, and then Dex, let's go over the flying. Oh, this is so creepy, too. I hate spiders, and I can only imagine if a 4-inch spider with a parachute landed on my shoulder. Dex, where is this? And I
think you're safe. I think you're going to be just fine because it's in New York and New Jersey. But these giant black and yellow spiders, the size of a human hand, are actually set to arrive in those states this summer. The Shro spiders are an invasive species that originated from China, and experts say they can fly up to 100 miles by turning their webs into makeshift parasails. I don't believe they're flying all the way from China, but they've come in from there over time, obviously. Although the good news is, although they are venomous, their venom is weak and the fangs are not strong enough to break through the skin. But they are very big, as you can see in this picture. So if you live in those areas and you start seeing these things floating down on little makeshift parachutes, you know what's happening. So Kind of an odd story. You don't see this one every day.
I feel like this looks exactly like the spider we've had at the local Woodland Park Zoo that they have in a display that has no glass. It looks like this, and it's probably some other spider that's probably from South Africa or something, but the part of the display and the interesting part about it is that if you wanted to, and I don't think anyone has ever actually done it, you could touch the spider. And everybody is fascinated because the spider never leaves its web. I'm sure this isn't the same one because I think about it and I'm like, if that was the one that they show us in the zoo, it looks just like this. It would float out of there. There's two doors, it's like a circle, and they have this big, it almost looks like a skee ball thing, and you could literally touch it. There's no glass, no nothing, and the spider just sits there. I'm sure you guys that are spider nerds probably know exactly which one I'm talking about. But when I saw that first time and realized there was no glass, I was like 9 or 10. I ran out screaming like a little girl, like a little high-pitched prepubation girl. I was so scared. I was terrified. I could not believe there was no glass. I almost had an asthma attack. This was me at 10. It was horrible. I hate spiders. I hate spiders, and I hate spiders. 4 inches? Nope. How about a give me a no thank you? I'm so glad this is in New York and not Washington. Mind you, I have just crossed off New York and all East Coast countries or states forever for the rest of my life as a potential living situation. All right, moving on. Boeing's Starliner capsule is launched from Florida on first crew spaceflight. I guess 3 times. Oh, wait. 4 times. Oh, wait. 5 times is the charm, right? Or is this 6? This might be 6 times, right?
So many we lost count.
Sorry about that. The whole system here muted. As far as Boeing, they've been put through the ringer. They've been put in the pit of despair. Everyone hates Boeing now. There is not one positive piece. In fact, it's kind of surprising that this is as very little negative as you could get. But Boeing's new Starliner astronaut capsule was launched from Florida on Wednesday in a much-delayed first test flight carrying a crew, a milestone in the aerospace giant's ambitions to step up its competition with Elon Musk's SpaceX. The CST-100 Starliner with 2 astronauts aboard lifted off from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, strapped to an Atlas V rocket furnished and flown by the Boeing Lockheed Martin joint venture United Launch Alliance. The gum-dropped capsule and its crew were headed for the rendezvous with the International Space Station 2 years after the Starliner completed its first test voyage to the orbital laboratory without astronauts aboard. Docking maneuvers with crew will pose another test for Starliner, followed roughly a week later by the test of returning to Earth. I love how the test is actually going somewhere and doing that, supposedly, right? Boeing intends for Starliner to compete with SpaceX's Crew Dragon capsule, which since 2020 has been NASA's only vehicle for sending ISS crew members to orbit from U.S. soil. That's so crazy that they trash Elon so much, but at the same time, he is the only one that makes the proper ability to go anywhere, right? If it's true that, that they are all doing this and going up there, then it's like they've been kind of forced to not completely trash him or take him out or take him down. If that is truly what's happening and he's not really secretly on the team. But yeah, they ended up having last-minute issues on so many launches. It was insane. And that was because of whistleblowers, a helium leak, a computer error regarding the helium leak. And they said, yeah, don't launch, otherwise people will perish. So they didn't several times. I guess finally it worked. And then we have, as space gets more crowded, Pentagon looks to AI to spot weapons. decks. So they're going to be using AI to spot space weapons.
Yeah, they keep talking about the growing number of weapons and the risks of the number of weapons going there. So there's a California company called Slingshot Aerospace. It's created an AI system that apparently can address that challenge by identifying strangely behaving satellites within large satellite constellations, which would indicate a space weapon or other threats. So obviously a weather satellite should just be chilling out, checking the weather in the area, but if it starts launching sub-satellites and changing altitudes and moving around, then, and especially getting in line with the same orbit as another satellite, those are questionable maneuvers, and I think that's what they're talking about. So this is an investment. It's an announcement of an investment or an agreement with the military to invest and or buy this work with this Slingshot Aerospace company. So one of the new things they'll be adding, so this new AI to Space Force to monitor everything in space so they can see who's misbehaving.
But will it be done in time before somebody like China or Russia has a bunch of them already launched? Is this in response to the speculation of weapons that are up there? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think? Callie, thank you for your support. Thank you for the super chat. You can always write something there as well. Chocolatestein Pal, thank you so much. I appreciate your super sticker or your super chat there. And then Kat, thank you for the super sticker. Again, Resistance Homesteading, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then over on DLive, thank you everybody that is supporting over there. Appreciate you. Kimbria, Skyhouse, Poco Loco, Kimbria, and BBBBBB. Thank you for following. All right, and let's see here. Beetlejuice. So before we talk about the interesting video that we just did over on the other show, do remind you, go over and check out Energy. If you've been looking into generators, then you may have seen solar generators. This is one of the best expandable and modular, changeable solar generators on the market. It is one of the toughest as well. If you haven't seen the Flex Tactical, it is made by Energy. Again, it is an incredible company that makes devices and appliances literally like they used to be made. This thing is made like a tank. It's got a 1,500-pound latch system, steel reinforced frame, heaters built into every batteries, and of course it is silent, which means nobody is going to know that you have power running. Just like an electric car whizzing by quietly, this thing is quiet. That is very good for being the gray man and not being noticed. If it really does hit the fan, if you have a loud gas-powered generator in your backyard, people are going to know it, and desperate people are going to know it. So that is a really good upside, besides having unlimited power as long as the sun comes up the next day. Again, this can get power either from the wall, charging like a big battery bank, and you can even speed that up with different mods like the supercharger. Charge a battery in as little as 45 minutes with one of those supercharger mods. Or you can charge it with solar panels. You can you also get the rapid charger and the different combinations that allow you to plug in more panels. So instead of 4 max, you can go up to 12. And again, this can expand up to 96 batteries. So go over and check it out. It is one of the coolest systems. This is the same generator that has just won the STTR Phase 2 contract and is shipping out to the U.S. Army. So again, they don't pick things for, being pretty. They pick it because it's reliable and it's tough. That's exactly what this is. So again, the only downside is there is a wait. So make sure to go check for the current wait. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Again, this is the world's fighting over lithium, so you definitely want to get this sooner than later, at least the head unit with all of the as far as the chips in it, and then each battery is almost a computer in itself as well. So make sure to go get on that list as soon as possible. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. All right, and then the Beetlejuice. So we are also in the works of a put together video talking about kind of the science behind Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse, as you may know it, one of the stars and suns in Orion. They say that it is going to supernova. Some say in as little as 30 to 300 years. And some are saying that that is why all of the craziness is going on right now, is because they're afraid that the supernova is going to happen and it's going to knock down the protection to Earth, or it's going to screw up our magnetic field, or it's going to fry us or something, right? There's many different opinions, including the official narrative is that it will just cause a star bright as the moon in the night sky or in the sky for as long as 3 months. What we see now of Betelgeuse is about 650 years old. But we're doing a video that's more in a narration style on this, but we've just did a video also talking about this and some of the symbols that are around it. It is in Orion, which again, Orion is the spacecraft that is taking people in the Artemis mission. So it's kind of crazy how many different kind of symbolic things are used in almost everything nowadays, especially with the government and NASA concerned. Also, we talk about the new movie, Beetlejuice. If you watched the original, you might have thought it was funny. You might have thought it was, an iconic movie. They're making a secondary one. There was some interesting comments that were said about Michael Keaton and him reprising the role. So if you want to see that, make sure to go check it out. You can actually go watch that in the description down below. You'll go to our website and go click on it. Dex, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And again, if you want to watch that short video and share it out with your friends and family, all you have to do is click right here. Thank you, guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. Looks like our top supporter tonight. There's actually a couple here. We're going to do several thank yous. Genius by Birth, K. Parker Fraser, and Avon33, and Callie. Thank you so much for your support. Honorable mentions. Thank you, Bobby Sue, for being here. Thank you, of course, everybody that made it. Make sure to go check out your wonderful mods at marfooglenews.com/friends, which is up on the screen right now. Join us over on Jams if you're not already there.